Hi YouTube, Hedgy Chins here, back with another video. So I've been looking through some of the comments on here, and it seems that a lot of people want some advice or what to do before you bring your chinchillas home. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, bringing your chinchillas home checklist. So this is going to be, I'm going to try and cram this into this video in a certain amount of time because my computer is at 15%. So hopefully we can get this done. So I've created a checklist, a 3-page checklist, or 2.5 pages, kind of. A checklist of things that you need to do to prepare to bring your chinchilla or chinchillas home. So hopefully at this point, if you are watching this video, you have already done the research and you know what comes with the territory. So if you have done that already, thumbs up to you and congratulations on bringing home or deciding to bring home a chinchilla or chinchillas. But there are a lot of things that you need to get before you bring them home. So I put together this checklist, and if anybody would like a copy of this checklist, feel free to leave your email down below, and I'll be happy to send you a copy. Just give me a few days, and I'll type it up in like Microsoft Word, and I can email that to you. Or if you have a Facebook, just leave your full name down below. I'll look you up, and I'll send this to you. So, bringing your chinchilla home. First things first, you need to get a cage. Purchasing your cage, no, a pet store cage will not work. They are too small, and it's not an adequate size for a chinchilla for them to jump and play and do all the things that they really need to do in order to stay healthy. So no, a pet store cage will not work. You must have a large cage. I prefer the Critter Nation or the Ferret Nation, and that is for a couple of reasons. Number one being that it's an excellent cage, it's ginormous, and I'll kind of turn the camera here. You can add on levels if you want. So if you decide to get the one level Critter Nation or the Ferret Nation, you can always add the second level on later on if you're on a budget. So no Living World or Super Pet cages, those are no good, those are garbage. I would not even buy those for a hamster. So stick to a larger cage. There are knockoff brand cages that are similar to the Ferret Nation. They're not as big, but those will work just as fine, just as well as the Ferret Nation does. And you would just have to do the research on what cages that is. I prefer this one also because it has wheels and it has a storage level. So there's tons of reasons why this is an excellent and perfect cage. So you need to expect to spend about $100 to $250 just on your chinchilla's cage. So again, hopefully you've done the research already and you know that the expenses are one thing that you really need to understand about bringing home a chinchilla. They are a big expense, so you're already looking at $100 to $250 in a cage. Your cage must have a flat bottom. The cages with chicken wire or like a wiry bottom will not work. That is very dangerous for your chinchilla's feet. You need something with a flat bottom. So the Ferret Nation comes with plastic pans, which will work fine as long as they're covered because you don't want your chinchilla having access to chewing plastic. But if you want to invest the money, you can also get these bass pans, and they're just like a metal pan that replaces the plastic one that comes with the cage. So those are off of bassequipment.com, so you can get those from there. And I'm pretty sure they do custom made ones too, so if you like get one of the so-called knockoff brands and you want to get a metal pan for the bottom. They can probably do a custom order for you. You would just have to send them the dimensions, and then they'll give you like a quoted price. A multi-level cage is preferred, meaning they have access, or it's big enough to put levels on it, like ledges and stuff. Make sure it's big enough to do that. You don't want a super small cage for tons of reasons. Number one, it's not fit for a chinchilla, but also you need to put some sort of ledges on there so that they can have a little bit more access to the top of the cage. And by having a smaller cage, you limit the space. By adding ledges, you limit it even more than it's already limited. So that's something to think about when you're purchasing your cage. You need to take all of those things into consideration. They're very important. You do not want a pet store cage also because most of them, actually all of them, come with a plastic bottom. And your chinchillas, believe it or not, they can chew right through that. So yeah, pet store cages will not work. You need to invest the money in a good solid cage. And also, it's good to invest the money ahead of time so you don't have to worry about it later. Okay, next thing on the checklist is accessories. Benefits of providing plenty to do in your chinchilla's cage is to keep them from getting bored. The more you offer to do in their cage, the less that they're bored, and that way when you're at work, or let's say you have a long day at work one day, you can't make it home for playtime, they have plenty to do in their cage, so you won't have to feel bad, but it also gives them it's a boredom breaker for them. Because trust me, a bored chinchilla is not a healthy chinchilla. You want a healthy chinchilla, so providing a lot to do definitely keeps them busy. Keeping chinchilla safe items, wood items are preferred, and they need to be chinchilla approved wood items. For ledges, I make my own ledges, and as long as it's like kiln dried pine, that's a totally safe wood, and you can make those ledges at Home Depot. Just specify to the clerk or whoever's cutting the wood for you there that you are looking for kiln dried pine. And this is an excellent thing to have in your cage because it provides teething options. Chinchillas must teeth to keep their teeth from overgrowing, which will cost you quite a bit of dollars at the vet if you don't take care of that. So providing chew toys is essential. Shop on pet safe sites. There's tons of chinchilla websites, and I'll copy and paste from my first chinchilla cage tour on here what my favorite sites are, but I did write a couple here, including Zoe and Lilo's Toy Box, Twilight Chinchillas, TJ's Chinchilla Supplies, Pet Chinchilla Toys, and Rhonda's Chinchillas. So all these sites are completely chinchilla safe products, and they sell only chinchilla safe woods. So you already knocked pretty much, you don't have to sift through the pet store wondering what's safe and what's not. You already have everything on these sites, and they have tons of options that you can shop for. And just remember, when you're shopping for toys, I prefer to shop online also because you get your money's worth. As opposed to getting a small toy at a pet store for $10, you can get a ginormous toy for $10 online on one of these sites. And the thing is, at the pet store, when you're shopping, you have to look for things that have no plastic. On these sites, you don't have to worry about that because nothing that these guys sell has plastic in it because they know better. So they're not going to sell things with plastic. So no plastic. You have to make sure. That's so important. Chinchillas cannot digest plastic. It can actually rip through their esophagus. It can rip through their intestines, their stomach. So you have to be super careful. No plastic in the cage whatsoever. And they will chew on it, I promise you. Providing a selection of treats is also a benefit. So Rhonda's Chinchillas is actually a treat website, and she does have a few chinchilla items like feeders and stuff. But she has a large selection of treats. And the benefits of having treats are that treats are used to reward your chinchilla. So like keep a few in your hand for example during playtime, and if your chinchilla sits on your lap or something or does something cute, you reward them by giving them a treat. And this can also be used to build a level of trust and a bond with your chinchilla because they know you have the treats, they want the treats, what can they do to get the treats? So that is, it's definitely beneficial, and you want chinchilla safe treats. And the good thing about Rhonda's Chinchillas, the website, she does have treats that are more on the sweet side, the ones that you have to be careful with and not feed too often. And she tells you how much you should be feeding each of the treats. So that's a good thing too. Selecting your food. This is also super important. Your pellet that you provide for your chinchillas is something that will stick with them hopefully for the rest of their life, and therefore you want the healthiest choice for them as possible, which means a plain pellet. No seeds, no nuts, no colorful garbage of any kind. You want a plain pellet. Examples of plain pellets are Oxbow and Missouri. Those are two of the top brands and the most popular purchase brands. I like Missouri because for a few options. The sack is bigger. It's a 20-pound bag for $25, and that includes shipping. So the shipping is $5 and the sack is $20. So you're paying $1 a pound essentially on their website, and it's super fast shipping. So I think that one's excellent. Oxbow is pretty good too. I stopped feeding it because I noticed that for some reason they were just going through it like it was candy. So I went ahead and switched them to the Missouri. So the next thing you need to check off or purchase is the dust bath. My favorite is the Oxbow brand dust bath. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. No sand baths. I know that in the UK they sell a brand that's a sand, and you do not want sand. Sand does not clean what it needs to clean. Dust gets in the very thick fur that chinchillas have. It gets way down in there and it cleans out the fur, keeps them from getting mites and all kinds of bugs, and it keeps them smelling good and looking clean. It keeps their fur nice and puffy. Sand does not do that. Sand actually will make their fur rough and knotty. So you don't want sand, you want a dust. And there's tons of brands out there. Oxbow is my favorite because it's very fine and soft and just a very nice quality. And you can get that off of Amazon for like $10.99. Let me grab my pot so you can see it. So this is the Oxbow Poof Chinchilla Dust Bath. And again, this one's my favorite. It's just super fine and it does what it needs to do, and the boys seem to love it, and this pot lasts us a while. So another thing you must have is a small emergency supply kit. So say on the chance that your chinchilla gets sick or has a minor cut or something like that, you should have an emergency supply kit, including critical care, gloves, a syringe. Different sizes are preferred, so you can buy a pack of a couple different sizes on Amazon for a few dollars. You should have extra water bottles, and I stress this because even the best of water bottles can break on impulse, and then you have to go rush out and buy a water bottle. So once you find a water bottle that you like, purchase a second one just to have a spare. And also if you need to go to the vet or something, you have a water bottle to stick on their carrier case. Bag Balm. Bag Balm you can get off Zoe and Lila's Toy Box, Amazon, or most drugstores do sell it. So it's basically like an ointment, and it does have antiseptic in it, so that's also good. But I use Bag Balm for dry ears and dry feet. If you live in a colder place up north, Bag Balm is definitely something you should have in your emergency supply kit. A bottle of antiseptic for minor cuts and scrapes. Chinchillas will probably get in their lifetime maybe a cut on their toe or something, or their ear, so having an antiseptic of some sort is perfect for something like that. You don't have to rush them to the vet. So let's see what's next. A food dish, no plastic. Again, most of the pet store ones are plastic. You want no plastic. So a metal one or a glass one, I prefer a hanging dish, and you can actually get those at the pet store in the bird aisle. So it's a metal hanging dish. And the reason I like the hanging dish better is because it keeps them from spilling it. Your chinchillas will be running around the cage like a goose without a head, and the bowl will get knocked over, and they'll be pooping in the same spot that their food dropped. And obviously you don't want to give them pooped food. So having a hanging dish is very beneficial. A water bottle. Find one that you like. So I know that not everyone has Walmart where they live. So wherever you live around the world, you need to find a water bottle that you like. A plastic water bottle is fine as long as it's hanging from outside the cage and not inside. So like this water bottle is plastic, but it's outside. It's where he can't grab it. He's being naughty. So a water bottle, and just have a couple, and depending on how many chinchillas you have, that's why I prefer the bigger bottles, because if you have like a smaller bottle like the one up there, then you're gonna have to have like two for as many chinchillas as you have, but for the bigger ones, I find that one bottled water is fine. Know where you are going to give playtime. Now, you should be giving playtime, even if it's not every day. You should be giving playtime and let them go outside of their homes for a couple minutes to an hour a day, just so that they can stretch their legs. And trust me, I actually like giving playtime because when they go back in their cage, they're knocked out. So, I mean, that's a good thing, and you won't hear them, like, going crazy at nighttime, because they can be loud, and if you give playtime for a few hours a night, then you probably won't have as loud of a ruckus throughout the night. So, okay, next is find your exotic vet. This is super important. You need to have an exotic vet. You don't need to have visited him before you get your chinchilla, but you need to know who you're going to go to if there's a problem. Have that number saved on your phone, and when you go for your first chinchilla checkup or vet appointment, ask your vet for a number of a 24-hour on-call vet, whether it's at an animal hospital or wherever. You need to have someone that you can call and be like, there's an emergency, I need to see you right away. So those are two numbers you should definitely have in your cell phone, because anything can happen and you want to be sure that you're prepared. Decide whether you want to shop or adopt. So now that you've got your checklist, decide whether you want to shop or adopt your chinchilla or chinchillas. Go and select your chinchillas prior to bringing them home. So rescues, usually if it's not a specific chinchilla rescue, if you have a chinchilla rescue, I would suggest going there because they have more handling and they're more comfortable around humans. But if you're going to just like a local shelter, they usually have a few. And you want to be sure that you select somebody that you can create a connection with easily. So that stuff like that you should have done the research on and really decided, okay, do I want to shop or adopt? Because it doesn't matter and it does make a difference in your chinchilla's personality. And you also want to decide whether you want a single chinchilla or you want a bonded pair. In my opinion, adopting a bonded pair is the best way to go, and I'll tell you why. Because I got most of my chinchillas, all of them actually, I got them all separate. And trying to bond them is very difficult, and it can be very frustrating because sometimes, like me, it doesn't go the way you plan, and you end up with a bunch of cages. So having a pair that's already bonded, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And they have a friend, they have a buddy kind of system, somebody to groom, someone to keep them company. So having a bonded pair is definitely, in my opinion, the way to go. And as long as you provided as long as you can provide, and you have provided all the things that I've mentioned on this list, you should be able to house 2 chinchillas in the cage setup, and with all these supplies. So you should be able to have 2. And it's better that way also, because if you're, away at work all day, you don't have to worry that he's all alone looking for attention, because chinchillas will do that if they're sitting in their cage all by themselves. They will come up often and look at you like with these sad little eyes, like, let me out, please. So it's a little bit more of a comforting feeling that they have a buddy. Now, you can say, I'm bringing my chinchilla home. So, hopefully you guys really liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and again, if you want this checklist, I will be happy to send it to you. And I think it's good to have, that way you have something kind of written out already, and you can just check the things off the list as you go down. But again, you need to have done the research on what owning a chinchilla entails before you get to this point. Because, I mean, this might turn some people off because it's a very big checklist and it's a little bit pricey. So I would say maybe on average you'll be spending a couple $100 here, at least $500 to $600 just as a starter kit. So that might turn some people off, but that's probably for the better, because you don't have to be stressing about what you really need. You really do need all of this stuff. It's really important, and it's also beneficial to have a healthy chinchilla. You obviously don't want to have a chinchilla that's bored and sick and in a small cage and you're providing a crappy life. You really need to have done the research. And if you have gotten to that point and you're like, I still want a chinchilla, great. By all means, go ahead and get them, but please go through the checklist. You don't have to have every single thing on this list before you bring them home, but these are things that you're going to need over time. So I would suggest getting them before you bring them home in order to avoid the running around like a chicken without a head looking for all these supplies. So, and don't be in a rush to bring a chinchilla home. Give yourself time as well. Give yourself time to, number one, if you've decided for sure you're getting a chinchilla or chinchillas, adopting or shopping, you need to give yourself some time to get all of these supplies. Unless you're filthy rich, don't just buy everything at once, because it'll kind of short you out on money after you bring them home, and you don't want something to happen the week that you bring them home and you don't have any money to spend. So give yourself over a period of 2 months, 3 months, build up your checklist, get everything down, and once you're ready, then go and get your chinchilla and select very carefully. And again, adopting a bonded pair is always best. And adopting is good because you saved someone's life. So, yeah. So if you want this checklist, just let me know down below. Either leave your email address down below or your full name that I can find you on Facebook under, and I will be happy to send you a copy of this checklist. And if you have any further questions as far as anything else, any random questions that you may have, feel free to comment below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna give playtime now and just relax. So I will see you guys in a few days for Pebbles' tank tour, as well as her a hedgehog video. So I will see you guys then. Alrighty, bye.